Jack was suddenly hospitalized in critical condition, with convulsions and high fever of unknown origin. The test results were all normal, but his body reacted as if he had been poisoned. Tien panicked. The doctor warned that this was not a common disease. Who did it? And why? The first clue suddenly appeared, revealing a horrifying truth behind. Please continue watching the video. Thank you for always following and supporting me. When the doctor reviewed the medical records and blood test results, a strange substance was discovered, not in any of the drugs Jack had ever used. Tien was stunned to know that the substance could only be introduced into the body through food or drink. She began to review every little detail of the recent days and suddenly remembered one thing. The last person who gave Jack water was none other than the person they trusted the most. Could it be that the culprit was still very close to them? The truth was being peeled away, layer by layer, and it could be more painful than Tien had imagined. Tien's heart stopped beating when the image of that person appeared clearly in her mind. It was the moment when Jack had just returned from the hospital, still lying exhausted on the sofa, and that person smiled and handed him a glass of warm orange juice with the words, "Drink this to regain your strength." At that time, she had absolutely no doubt, because that person was close as blood to Jack for all these years. Tien immediately reported this detail to the doctor and asked to test the remaining water sample in the glass. At the same time, she quietly opened her phone, looking for the camera in the house, something she rarely paid attention to before. And then in the blurry but clear video, Tien was stunned when she saw that person secretly rummaging through his pocket, dropping something into the glass of orange juice before giving it to Jack. She collapsed to the floor, holding her head in her hands, unable to believe her eyes. The doctor's voice rang out behind her, as cold as the night wind. "We have identified the substance. It is a mild poison, slowly accumulating. But if not detected in time, it will cause permanent damage to the brain and nervous system. A calculated plot, someone who acts without hesitation." And now Tien has only one question left. Why? Because of hatred, or because love has degenerated to the point of cruelty? Tien sat silently in the hospital hallway. Her eyes read, her hand tightly gripping the phone containing the video she had just watched. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed, both painful and angry. The person she and Jack had trusted completely, the person who always showed concern and care, was the one who poisoned him in the coldest and most secretive way. She could no longer sit still that very night. Tien decided to go straight to that person's house without warning. Without beating around the bush, she needed an explanation, needed to look straight into that person's eyes and ask why the door opened in the flickering yellow light. That person appeared not surprised to see Tien standing there. Their eyes met, one trembling with pain and anger, the other eerily calm. Without waiting for Tien to speak, that person dropped a cold sentence. "There are things that are better left to disappear." Those words were like a knife piercing deep into her heart. There was no doubt about it, it was all true. Every gesture, every care, every dish, every gentle greeting were all masks covering up a sophisticated plan to harm. Tien burst into tears. But this time it was no longer weakness. It was the sanity of a person who had been pushed to the limit. She looked straight at the man and said, "I will not let him suffer anymore, no matter what it cost me. The real battle began here." Tien stood silently in the darkness of the porch, that sentence still echoing in her mind. There are things that are better left alone. She swallowed, her heart pounding as she took another step, her voice trembling but clear. "Is it you, really, that person no one else was?" Vu, Jack's half-cousin Vu, had lived with Jack's family since childhood, until he grew up, when Jack's mother sent Vu to study abroad. Vu always appeared by Jack's side when he was in the most difficult times, a friend, a brother, a trustworthy companion. But behind that kind appearance, there was a darkness that no one expected. Vu's eyes did not avoid even a bit cold. He approached slowly, saying, "I tried to endure, tried to step back, tried to forget, but why do all the good things always belong to him? Money, feelings, even your love, I can't accept it." Tien took a step back, her heart breaking. She choked just because of jealousy. "You are willing to harm the person who once called you brother?" Vu laughed dryly, his voice hard. "Jack took away all my opportunities since I was little. He lived like light. As for me, I was locked in the dark forever. Try living in it, then you will understand." The air became thick, heavy, and suffocating. Tien clenched her hands, unable to hold back her tears, but her voice was full of determination. You can live in the dark, but I will bring all your sins to light no matter what I have to face. The confrontation between truth and hatred, between love and betrayal, officially entered a new chapter where no one has a way back. Vu was silent for a moment. His eyes darkened, then suddenly he smiled, a distorted smile. A smile that no longer had any of the familiarity of the past. He stepped back, leaning against the doorframe. His voice lowered, almost whispering, "You think you can win, Tien? You don't know this is just the beginning." Those words were like a punch to her heart. Tien stiffened, trying to stay calm. She looked deeply into the eyes of the man who had been as close to Jack as a brother, who had been the family member she trusted the most, and now he was becoming her most dangerous enemy, not only because of the poison he had used on Jack, but because of the hidden schemes behind it. She turned and walked away, but each step felt heavy. Her mind was now filled with questions. How many more things was Vu hiding? Was he working alone? Or was there someone else behind it, arriving at the hospital? Tien found Jack still sleeping soundly, his face pale and his lips dry and cracked. She sat down next to him, took his hand and whispered softly to herself, "I will protect you, Jack. I will not let you be hurt again. That person and all those behind him will pay the price." In the pale yellow light of the hospital, Tien's eyes were no longer as weak and sparkling as before. Instead, there was a cold alertness and an unshakable will. The truth was no longer something that scared her. It was something she was willing to face, even if it meant trading it for her own peace that night. Tien did not leave Jack's bed, even once she sat silently beside him, her hands still tightly holding his, her eyes no longer vague but sharp and determined. Every piece of the puzzle gradually appeared clearly in her mind. The times Jack suddenly had stomach aches for no apparent reason, the unusual dizziness after meals, the long days of fatigue without reason. It all started when Vu returned to live near them, using the excuse of wanting to find a family relationship again. Tien quietly opened her phone. Following Vu's contacts, she discovered that he had secretly contacted a strange man, a man who was rumored to be involved in illegal chemical trading in the past. Her intuition told her that this was no longer simply a poisoning case out of personal grudge, but a carefully prepared plan. Maybe it was also related to Jack's family's assets or some dark secret in the past that Jack had never told. Music.